Hey Pop Kids! Today we're in the book of Matthew, which is the first book in the New Testament. We're looking at what happened with Jesus in the days before he died on the cross and then came back to life. At this point, people had been following Jesus while he traveled around, teaching and healing people who were sick. The religious leaders were concerned about how popular Jesus had become because they didn't believe he was the Son of God. They were also afraid that they would lose their power over the people if everyone started following Jesus instead of them. When Jesus raised a dead man back to life, you'd think that would have convinced the religious leaders that they'd been wrong about Jesus. No, but instead, the leaders decided that it was time to get rid of Jesus. They decided that the week of the Passover festival would be the best time to do it. As Jesus and his closest friends, the disciples, made their way toward Jerusalem, they paused on the Mount of Olives in a small town called Bethphage. Jesus sent two of his disciples ahead to get some supplies. He said to them, "Go to the village ahead of you. As soon as you get there, you will find a donkey tied up. Her colt will be with her. Untie them and bring them to me. If anyone says anything to you, say that the Lord needs them. The owner will send them right away." Jesus' friends did what he asked, and they went and found the donkey and the colt. It's pretty interesting that Jesus asked the disciples to go find a donkey because this actually fulfilled the words of one of the prophets long before. Hundreds of years before Jesus was born, there was a prophet named Zechariah. And through the words of Zechariah, God had actually predicted that the Messiah, Jesus, would enter Jerusalem riding on a donkey. Listen to this. "City of Zion, be full of joy. People of Jerusalem, shout. See, your king comes to you. He's always done what is right. He has won the victory. He is humble and riding on a donkey. He is sitting on a donkey's colt." Yeah, hundreds of years before Jesus, Zechariah described a king who God would send to rescue the Israelites. This king would enter Jerusalem on a donkey's colt. Jesus' disciples brought the donkey and her colt to Jesus. They put coats on them so Jesus could sit on them. And as Jesus entered the city, giant crowds of people gathered to see him. The crowd of people tossed down their coats on the road, and they also cut down palm branches, waved them, and spread them on the road as well. It was all a way to honor Jesus and make a pathway for him into the city. The people shouted, "Hosanna! Blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord." It was truly an amazing sight. Jesus on a donkey's cute colt, surrounded by people celebrating him as king. When Jesus entered Jerusalem on a donkey's colt, he fulfilled the words from Zechariah long before. He showed himself to be the Savior God had promised. And while the crowds of people cheered for Jesus as king, the religious leaders were not happy. They wanted to put a stop to Jesus, but Jesus stayed focused on what he had come to do, to go to the cross for the sin of the world. He knew that the hardest part was just ahead. You see, Jesus had a mission here on earth, and it was to be the Savior of the entire world, for everyone, including you and me. Jesus came to be our Savior.